Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. So today's episode is going to be a review of RuPaul's Drag Race UK episode 3. For those of you watching this on YouTube, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I've literally just passed the halfway mark to 1,000 subscribers, which I'll need to be eligible for monetization as I'm really close to hitting my watch time hours. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe, and thank you to everyone who has. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So Scaredy Cat was gone last week. I've already said my piece on that on the last podcast, so I'm just not going to go into it again. All of the girls are kind of praising Blue Hydrangea. All of the girls are saying Blue Hydrangea brought it. And you know, she brought something. It still really wasn't really the best lip sync performance, I personally believe. I'm definitely going to need a bit more from Blue Hydrangea for her to qualify as somebody who quote unquote brought it. So obviously Bag of Chips won the last challenge and everybody is congratulating her. But if we rewind to the last episode, nobody said congratulations to Vivienne. And looking at Vivienne's face, I feel like she was a little bit pressed by that. In the confessional, she did take a little dig at Bag of Chips. She said that she needs to be a bit more humble. I think Vivienne, she's a strong competitor, but I feel like she does need to kind of focus on herself. What do you think? Do you feel like Vivienne was a bit pressed, or do you feel like she was unbothered? What do you think? I feel like she was a bit pressed. In the beginning of the episode, we also see Crystal in the confessional kind of bitching about vinegar strokes. And when she said vinegar, I had to pause for a second because the way that she pronounced it, it sounded a little bit. I was like, wait, hold on, BBC Three, did I just hear something? But yeah, obviously I registered the VIN before. But yeah, Crystal, girl, you need to work on your pronunciation. Did anyone else have to take a double take when she said vinegar? Or, you know, the way that she pronounced it, you know, vinegar. Did anyone do a double take, or was it just me? But anyway, in the confessional, Crystal basically says that Vinegar is overconfident and her looks are lacking. And, you know, I always try and root for everybody black, you know, but, you know, Crystal told no lies. Like, Vinegar's looks are weak, very weak. Obviously, I'm guessing you already know the result. And last week, I actually said that I think Vinegar's next to go. So, yeah. It's a shame, you know. So I feel like all of the other girls, there was a consensus that Vinegar was not a very strong competitor. But what did you think? Obviously, we know the result now, but before that, did you think that Vinegar had potential to go far? Let me know what you think. And near the beginning of the episode, we also see that Cheryl is still a bit pressed over the Vivienne and Vinegar calling her out. And I feel like this is a running theme with Cheryl. She always says, well, I'm just going to focus on myself. I'm not here for these other girls. But then keeps coming back to complaining about other girls' comments. So yeah, Cheryl, I'm just going to need you to take your own advice and actually, you know, start focusing on yourself and not caring about what these other girls think of you. So with the mini challenge, we kind of get a chance to see what some of these girls have to offer in terms of moves that would probably be used in lip syncs. I was impressed by some of the girls. I feel like a lot of the girls, you know, have potential to put on an entertaining lip sync that we've all really been craving for, because, you know, the lip syncs haven't really been that great. But from what I saw from that mini challenge, I think there is potential there for us to have potentially legendary lip syncs on the UK show. A lot of the girls were keeping it cute, but some of them are really showing out, like Cheryl Cole. Not Cheryl Cole. I keep calling her Cheryl Cole. Cheryl Hall coming with the kind of the backdrops, you know, the kind of it's not really an iconic move anymore. It's kind of an overplayed drag move, you know, the death drop. She does a few of those. The leg kicks, she does that a lot. But yeah, I definitely feel like she feels like she's the shit. I definitely feel like she perhaps thinks that she could potentially be a lip sync assassin, because in terms of her performance, hasn't really been that great. What did you think of Cheryl Cole's kind of mini dance routine? Do you feel like she's the next lip sync assassin, or do you feel like you've kind of seen it before and it's a bit basic? What do you think? But yeah, personally, in terms of the competition, in terms of being competitive and thinking of a strategy, I probably wouldn't have shown my best moves at that point. I would have probably wanted to save my best moves for an actual lip sync, because I feel like, you know, if you just recycle the moves that you used in the challenge, you're just going to look recycled on stage. It's not going to be, you know, a fresh experience, if you get what I mean. And I feel like with Cheryl, even though she's a decent performer and she probably could do a good performance, I feel like perhaps her ability is quite limited. But that's just from what I've seen. What do you think? Do you feel like she could turn it out consistently, or do you feel like she could be a one lip sync win pony? Or do you think she even has the potential to even beat anyone in the show at all? So this week's challenge is kind of the British remix of Drag on a Dime, it's Posh on a Penny. And we get like a car boots out. It's very British, and it's a sewing challenge. And, you know, people who have watched a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race, we all know that sewing is what gets most of these girls in the bottom and lip syncing for their life, because it's just kind of a running joke that it's kind of like, you come on this show, you have to know how to sew, and people just come on the show and they're just like, bitch, I don't know how to sew. So it's just, you know, one of those ones where, you know, you lied on your CV and then now it's actually time to do the thing that you lied about, and you just got to do the best that you can and try not to lose your job. I feel like that's what kind of the sewing challenges are like on RuPaul's Drag Race. But a thing that I noticed that Vivienne was doing was that she was kind of going around patrolling like a teacher and going around giving other girls tips on what she thinks that they should do to improve their costumes or whatnot. And personally, I just feel like, one, that is cutting into your time that you could be using for yourself, for your costume, getting ready, and also if things go wrong, that's time that you're losing that you could have rectified that situation. And three, this is a competition, so why would you take it upon yourself to help your competition? What is your standpoint on people who are in competitions that go around telling people what they should do to improve, or what they think is going wrong with their outfit? Do you feel like people should just focus on their own shit, or do you feel like perhaps, you know, it's something nice to do to, you know, help other people? What do you think? Do you feel like Vivienne can do that because she's such a strong competitor that, you know, she can help other people and still have her shit tip-top and all together? What is your kind of stance on that? Do you feel like it's nice of Vivienne to help, or do you feel like she should just mind her own business and focus on herself? I kind of noticed was that, you know, Bag of Chips said that Vivienne is her best in the competition. And I kind of had to at that. I feel like maybe Bag of Chips is kind of trying to hold on to somebody. I feel like Bag of Chips is quite strategic because she's trying to be friends with Vivienne, because I don't think that there is, you know, Bag of Chips is looking for a genuine friendship with Vivienne. I suspect that perhaps she wants to get in close and friendly with Vivienne so that she might be able to ask her for help down the line when she's struggling with something. I personally think that's what's happening. In terms of Vivienne, I feel like Vivienne thinks she's a top bitch and she's not really here looking for friends. And also at the beginning of the episode, she was being a bit shady towards Bag of Chips. So I don't really think that Vivienne herself is looking for a friendship with anyone, let alone Bag of Chips. But what do you think? Do you feel like their friendship, or the forming of their friendship, is genuine or a bit suspicious? Another friendship that we see that, because of the result that we all know now, seems a bit bittersweet is Vinegar and Something Wrong's relationship. You know, obviously in the room we could already see that Vinegar is going to be in the bottom because her outfit was not looking cute, and at that point we kind of didn't know the rankings of everything. We knew probably Vinegar was going to be in the bottom, but in terms of other people's outfits, it was kind of like, you know, we'll have to see everyone on the runway to kind of suss out who would be in the bottom. So obviously we see they have a moment in the workroom where Something Wrong says, you know, I really need you to stay. I really need you to be in this competition with me, because if you leave, I'm going crazy. I'm going to go crazy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I feel like I know what something wrong meant when he said, what something wrong meant when she said, you know what I mean? And I think I'm sussing that it means the POC solidarity, because they are the only two people of colour in the competition. And I think perhaps there is that connection there, that they have a similar cultural experience that perhaps the other white queens might not be able to resonate with. And I think perhaps amongst themselves they've created a kind of POC friendly safe space. And I think that's what she was talking about in terms of she might go crazy because she wouldn't be able to have that safe space, which I definitely understand. I think it is nice to have a kind of safe space where, in terms of identity, whether that is a gender identity, a race identity, a religious identity, a political identity. So yeah, kind of bittersweet moment. And then also on top of that, they are the only POC representatives of the UK drag scene. In America, usually there's a bit more diversity, so then they're probably feeling that pressure as well of representing not only the POC drag queen and then their respective communities. So Vinegar's probably, Vinegar is essentially representing the black drag queens, the Caribbean drag queens, and Something Wrong is effectively representing the Asian drag queens, the Chinese drag queens. So yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet moment there. Davina in the confessional, she kind of calls out Bag of Chips and Vivian, and she says that they are both too overconfident and it's not cute, and that perhaps they should have some weaknesses somewhere, and that, one day someone's going to knock them off their high horse. They shouldn't feel so smug with themselves. I think the Vivian definitely is entitled to feel like she is that bitch, like she is the top. Like she's the top dog, because she's the strongest competitor in that competition, like, period. She is the dark, she's the one to watch, she's the one to watch. Davina is another person that is one to watch. I think Davina is definitely a strong competitor too. I think she's probably number 2 in terms of Bag of Chips. I think that Bag of Chips is quite confident. Her costume today was not that great. In terms of costume making, she can't really do that. She kind of has to just pull out the bag with the pre-made costumes, which isn't really a fault. In the real life, you'll be getting probably somebody else to make your costumes. But in terms of what she has to offer, in terms of being, in terms of Drag Race, all she's really offering is personality. I guess she can do well in the acting challenge, but other than that, I don't really see her offering much else. And also, I feel like she was really shady when she was like, oh, I'm the queen of this, Vivian's the queen of this, and Crystal was the queen of something. Crystal, she might not seem like the strongest right now, but I feel like Crystal definitely has potential to be in the top 3 right now from what I have seen. So yeah, I feel like Bag of Chips is quite overconfident. I feel like she will probably make it towards the end. I'm not really sure about top 3, but what do you think? Do you feel like Bag of Chips is a top contender? Do you feel like she's a bit overconfident? And what do you think about Davina kind of gunning for Vivian? Do you feel like Davina might be a little bit jealous of the Vivian? Or do you feel like it's just a competitive spirit? There's a bit of a rivalry there because Davina knows that the Vivian is her top competition. Another thing I noticed is that RuPaul doesn't say like Graham, she says Graham. I don't know if that's by accident or on purpose, but yeah, I find that quite weird. In terms of the best outfits, I definitely think Davina rightfully was awarded the best outfit and the challenge winner. Plastic Couture, Realness, Blue Hydrangea. I thought she was another good outfit. I'm surprised that she was just safe. Maybe it was just me, but I liked it. It was a kind of similar style that she did like last week with the kind of, I don't know what you call them, the hold-ups, the kind of cowboy hold-ups. It was similar to, it was a similar style to her prior outfit last week, but I still feel like that was a good outfit. And the Vivian was a good outfit. I don't think it was the best, but I feel like the neck was a bit too high. It was kind of a simple silhouette, but it was quite creative. But does anyone think that Vivienne's outfit deserved to win over Davina's? I don't think so. I feel like Davina was the rightful and solid winner there. But let me know if you feel like somebody else should have won instead of Davina. In terms of the worst outfits, I'd say Bagger was a bad outfit. I'm really surprised that she was safe. It literally looked like a really bad corset and then a nappy. Like, it literally looked like a nappy. And when she turned around, you could see the corset straps that she had used to, like, stick the material on. I'm just like, how is she safe? Like, does she know somebody does she know the producers? Is she friendly with one of the producers? Because how is she safe with that outfit? And what do you guys think? Do you feel like it was creative? Do you feel like Bagger's outfit deserved to be safe? Or do you feel like she should have been in the bottom and it was a bit suspicious? And then Something Wrong's, the suit just looked cheap. I feel like if she had executed it a bit more better, perhaps even the way that she made it was not that great. But the shoes, the pumps that she had, like, it was just a bad blue. Like, it's just the worst blue. Like, out of all the blues to pick your pumps to be, it's just not the right blue to choose. And then also with the whole kind of like nipple tape thing, it just looked really cheap. Like, obviously she didn't have a shirt and it just looked weird. Like, I agree with the judges' comments on that, like, not having a shirt looked weird. And then she had like the kind of necklace on, which cheapified it even more. Then on top of that, you could have like made some elaborate kind of nipple tassels rather than just the tape, because that just looked really cheap, unfortunately for me, I have to say. It just looked really cheap, I have to say. And then Vinegar. Obviously, we saw her struggling in the dressing room. You know, the first thing that she tried to do was quite bad. I think maybe she should have just tried with that, just done a hamburger, because this one, I feel like it was even worse than the first one. I feel like the idea was good and it could have been executed well, but maybe if she had went with this idea first, she might have had a bit more time to put it together. It definitely looked very rushed, very last minute, and it just wasn't constructed well. Like, you could see bits that she didn't cover properly, and then her skin suit just looked a mess. It looked all wrinkly and nasty. It was just a mess, honey. It just did not look good. In terms of the concept of Vinegar's idea, do you feel like she could have executed it well? Or do you feel like her skills up to this point would have made you believe that it probably just wouldn't have been executed well? Let me know what you think. So, in terms of at that point, who I thought was going to be at the bottom, I was pretty sure it was going to be Vinegar and Something Wrong. Lots of the other girls are saying Cheryl should be in the bottom as well. I don't think Cheryl's outfit was, the best outfit. I thought it was just a simple outfit that lacked creativity, yes, but she pulled it off well. So I didn't really think that Cheryl should have been in the bottom. But what do you think? Because obviously when RuPaul said that, Something Wrong was in the bottom, Vinegar was like, oh my God, like, I'm in shock. And everyone was like, oh. Did you think that Cheryl Hole should have been in the bottom? I feel like it would have been a good lip sync to watch, but I don't think Cheryl Hole deserved to be in the bottom. I think the right people were in the bottom. But what I will say is that Cheryl Hole needs to work on her tuck. Like, her tuck is just, I don't know, it's just a bit, it's not even bulky. I just feel like it's almost like it's slanted. The slong is slanted. I think she definitely needs to, swallow her pride and ask somebody to help her with her tuck. Because I just feel like that would elevate her look, especially her crotch area. And yes, obviously it was Vinegar and, Something Wrong in the bottom. It's always sad to see a POC lip sync, and it's even worse that because of the fact that there's only 2 POCs in this season. But I agree that they were in the bottom. They were both the weakest, unfortunately. So yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect, because obviously Vinegar's first lip sync was not that great. You know, it was average at best. But I was interested to see what Something Wrong was going to offer, because, you know, she was fighting in the, you know, there was fighting talk exchanged in the confessional. But I really liked the lip sync this episode. I think it's the best lip sync so far. I think Vinegar actually really brought it this lip sync. I'm actually quite proud of her. But, you know, Something Wrong, I feel like her lip sync was good. It was a bit shaky. I feel like it was close. But in my opinion, I think that Vinegar Strokes was the better lip syncer. And I feel like the reason why they sent Vinegar Strokes home is because the outfits have just been consistently bad. And, you know, Something Wrong and also on top of that, it wasn't like Vinegar Strokes' lip sync was miles better than Something Wrong's. They both kind of held their own, I think. But I think that's probably why they sent Vinegar Strokes home, because of her outfits. Because I do think that she just about took that lip sync. But what do you think? So let me know if you think that Vinegar Strokes had the best lip sync or not. And even if you did think that she had the best lip sync, do you feel like she should have stayed? I think that she did have the best lip sync, but I think it was her time to go. I feel like, you know, I don't think, you know, it's just like the outfits, they're a big part of the show, the outfits, and I just feel like I actually can't take seeing you in another shitty outfit for another week. I'm sorry, babe. But yeah, I feel like Something Wrong definitely has a lot more potential in this competition. But yes, very bittersweet. And then obviously in her outro, she said, you know, if she could do it again, she would, you know, make better costumes, which, you know, is, you know, very good to see that, you know, she's making observations on what she needs to improve. Obviously, when she's out of the show, she's probably going to have other people to make her shit for her. And I think that's best. And I think she knows that. And she said, you know, she hopes that she has inspired other black drag queens to know that they can do it too, or perhaps apply to the show. So yeah, it was bittersweet. You know, I have nothing bad to say really about her departure. It was her time to go. She came and she did her best. And I wish her all the best. So obviously next week, it's the highly anticipated episode. It is Snatch Game, which is what we've all been waiting for. Episode 4, I'm not sure if that's a bit early or not. Usually it's around 4, 5 to 6. It might be a risk putting it quite early. I think in terms of it being the first show in the UK, I think maybe it would be a smart decision to push it another episode just to make sure the viewership is high. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the characters. Obviously, Vinegar Strokes is gone and she came in with that Cat Slater impression. So if she had stayed, I would have loved to have seen her as Cat Slater for the Snatch Game. But in terms of characters, obviously the Vivian, she hinted that she was a Cher impressionist. So maybe she might do that for Snatch Game. In terms of people who I can think, maybe I'm thinking off the top of my head, Gemma Collins. I'm thinking for Cheryl Hole, who would she be? I think she might be somebody off Towie, like maybe Gemma Collins or Amy Childs, something like that. And then the Vivian also, she could be Kim from How Clean Is My House. You know, she did a really good impression of that. But I can't think of who somebody else might be. I guess Bag of Chips, she might be Amy Winehouse, actually. She might go down that road. In terms of characters, who would you want to see portrayed in the Snatch Game in terms of British characters? Because obviously there might be one or two that do an American personality, but in terms of British iconic personalities, who would you like to see being portrayed on the Snatch Game? Let me know. So on Twitter, there's mixed reviews for Cheryl Hole. A lot of people feel like she's ripping off American drag artists, specifically Alyssa Edwards. For those of you who have watched the past seasons, obviously Alyssa Edwards does the mouth pop, you know, she does that a lot. In terms of the mouth popping, Alyssa Edwards wasn't the first person to do the let's be real. Alyssa Edwards stole that off of other black drag artists to begin with. But in terms of Cheryl Cole mimicking Alyssa Edwards, maybe that could have been an inspiration, but I think maybe that could be a reach. I don't really see any other similarities other than that. But in terms of Cheryl Cole's performance, so the drops and the kicks, it does mimic a lot of the elements of American drag. I've seen people saying that it should have been her that went home instead of Vinegar Strokes. Again, I don't agree. I think Cheryl Cole should have stayed. I think Vinegar Strokes, it was the right time for her to go. I feel like her performance was weak and weaker than Cheryl Cole's. There's the other side saying that they love Cheryl Cole, they stan her and they don't get the criticism. I like Cheryl Cole. Yes, there are bits of her that are quite forced, but I like Cheryl Cole. On Twitter, it seems like a lot of people are actually quite sad that Vinegar has left, especially considering her relationship with Something Wrong. And some people feel like it was her time. They're upset that she went, but Strokes was living on borrowed time. And, some people are just straight up like, bye, girl. Continuing on to that, a lot of people saying that they love the relationship between Vinegar and Something Wrong. And some people are saying, it's not a coincidence that they bonded so well because they're both people of colour. The general consensus on Twitter is that we are all confused as to why Bag of Chips got away with that outfit. Like, as in got away with it, didn't get read for it, didn't get any comments on it. And then second of all, was just not in the bottom. Like, she just literally, I'm still confused. I'm seeing a lot of negativity towards the Vivienne on Twitter. A lot of people saying that they don't like her, that she's rude and she's annoying and unlikable. I can see where people are coming from. She's definitely rude. She's definitely bitchy. But I like it. I stan a bitch character. I stan, a kind of villain bitch character. I feel like every season of Drag Race really needs one, really. But what do you think? Do you feel like you're just not on Team Vivienne, or do you actually like her? In terms of what people are saying about the lip sync, it's quite mixed. Some people said that they liked it, they loved it. Some saying that it's the best so far. Some saying that it was rubbish, that it was, underwhelming. I personally think it was a decent lip sync. I think it was the best lip sync so far. But let me know what your thoughts were on the lip sync. A tweet on Twitter from the Drag Bible. They apparently have, the Snatch game characters revealed. So I can't confirm whether this is actually real or true. But according to them, the Snatch game characters are going to be... Bag of Chips is going to be Margaret Thatcher. You know what? There was... Before it aired, there was this thing going around like we shouldn't support Bag of Chips because she's a Tory. And I think there was an article basically saying why people should vote for the Conservatives for the next election. So at first I was thinking Bag of Chips, Margaret Thatcher, like, she's being in the bottom. But then I remembered, so this is going to be quite interesting. Perhaps she's been putting on this front. What are we thinking, guys? And for those of you who didn't know, are you surprised? Are you shocked? And for those of you who did know, did you just forget or you just kind of put it to the back of your head? I almost forgot this. But Bag of Chips is a Tory, guys. How do we feel about that? And do you feel like she's going to do Margaret Thatcher justice? Blue Hydrangea is going to be Mary Berry. I'm not going to lie, I don't know who she is. I might remember the face, but the name doesn't ring a bell. Cheryl Cole, Gemma Collins, as I suspected. She could possibly do a good Gemma Collins. It's just about how into it she goes. I feel like Cheryl Cole might be in danger of holding back when with Gemma Collins you just have to give your all into it. Gemma Collins is obviously an iconic character, so if she fucks that up, it's just not going to be good. It's not going to be good for her, I'm not going to lie. Crystal, Blanche from Golden Girls. I've heard of the show. I can't remember. I feel like I know the name, but I can't attach it to a face, or the face that I'm thinking of probably isn't the face of the person who it is. And then Something Wrong is going to be David Attenborough. It's going to be David Attenborough, which is again interesting. It's always a risk doing a male character. I think there's only one person in kind of drag history, or at least drag, the American version, who successfully did a male character and won. But in terms of that male character that they did, obviously, I think it was a Davenport, I can't remember the first name, but she did Little Richie. But Little Richie is somebody who kind of wore makeup anyway, whilst David Attenborough doesn't. So I think it could definitely be a risk, I think. And in terms of making David Attenborough funny, you could, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't think Something Wrong would be able to pull that off, I'm sorry to say. And the Vivian is gonna be Donald Trump, which is again a risk. I think it's a bit stupid of the Vivian to do Donald Trump when she clearly could have done Kim Woodburn or Cheryl. Not Cheryl, Cher. For those of you who watch the X Factor, you know the slip I just made. But just what would she even do? Like, she is a bitch, so she could, do the really grumpy bitchy, the Trump. But I just think there was way easier, better options for her to do. I think it's a big risk there, but I guess we'll see where it goes. I almost forgot Davina. I totally just skipped her. She's doing Julia Childs. I've heard the name. Again, I can't attach the face. So bad, guys. There's a lot of love online for Davina. A lot of people really loved her outfit and love her personality. So yeah, that's the end of my podcast. Let me know what your thoughts are on the supposedly Snatch Game characters. Do you think any of them will be any good? Do you think some people might be in danger in terms of who they picked? And let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. And remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe if you haven't yet. And yeah, till next time, guys. Bye.